And we are live dito po sa 899 Action Center. Problema mo, may sagot kami. Okay po. Before we start, I have to read a disclaimer. The presented content does not provide or constitute legal advice. This content is for information purposes only. Viewing or listening to the content does not constitute a client or attorney relationship. Okay po. Tonight, napakasaya po ang topic po natin. Hiwalayan. So tonight we'll be having a breakdown of everything you need to know about separation agreements with the managing partner of Punzalan Law Office. And she will discuss as well to work together with your spouse to create an agreement that protects you, your children, and your assets. Our guest tonight has areas of practice in law, to name a few: residential and commercial real estate, construction and development, with joy and privilege dito sa 899 Action Center, the expert of family law, Atty Rachelle Punzalan. Attorney,
Thank you.
good evening po. Welcome
Thanks
po sa
for having
899.
me. My pleasure.
Okay, thank you po. Ayan po. Start na po tayo. Since we're talking about separation, hiwalayan, and divorce, so, attorney, what is the this ito yung usual na misconception. Ano ba yung pagkakaiba ng legal separation and divorce?
Well, there is a clear-cut difference between the two. Ang legal separation kasi is isang proseso na hindi nag-i-involve ng pa-file ng anything in the court. So if you file a divorce that involves initiating process, you have to file something in the court. So a legal separation would be a process wherein you put together a separation agreement, and that separation agreement is done outside of court. So a lot of the tenets of the legal justice system is aimed at not out of court, not to go to court. Kasi gusto natin na hindi pumunta sa korte. As much as possible, tinutulungan natin ang mga separating spouses to go from A to B without going to the court system para hindi masyadong mahabang proseso, and at the same time hindi masyadong mahal.
Magastos.
Magastos,
Yes.
correct. So legal separation, if the parties want to put together a separation agreement outside of court without filing a petition, then that's going to be the case. However, if you want to file a divorce, then that's going to be petition for divorce through the court.
Correct. Ayan po. Well said po. Now, ano po? Doon tayo muna sa legal separation. Doon sa hindi magastos. Okay. Yung out of court settlement. Ano ba yung steps na tinatake ng husband and wife for legal separation?
It's a very good question. A lot of clients na lumalapit sa akin, they always ask me, ano bang kailangan ko muna gawin? What should I prepare? What should I do first? And what should I aiming at bago ka even tumawag sa lawyers?
Tama.
So that it's easier and less cost for the parties. I would categorize it in 3 categories. I would say, first and foremost, you have to be financially prepared. As you know, legal costs can be very pricey. Certainly, lawyers usually bill per hour, and a lot of different lawyers have different rates depending on their experience and on their expertise, and also dependent on the matters. So some separations involve only just a husband and wife separating or a common law spouse separating. Yung iba naman na separation may involve na mga bata. So that's clearly costly, and then mas marami ka dapat i-prepara na pera. Other issues would be property division. So then kailangan mo talagang magprepara ng few $1,000s to make sure that before you contact the lawyer. So financial preparation. Number 2, I would say, is paperwork preparation. So you want to put together your paperwork before you even call the lawyer, so you don't, you're prepared, and to gather all the necessary information, such as your marriage certificate. So kunin mo siya sa baul and you're gonna get it out of the way. Oh, and if you lost it, some people would tell me, "Oh, I lost it. I immigrated to Canada and I
Uh-huh.
can't find it." Might as well contact someone who can get that for you in another country, say for example the Philippines or here. Get another copy of that because an original is necessary for filing a
Mhm.
petition for divorce. Another thing that you want to prepare paperwork wise is um, that notice of assessment that you get from the CRA,
The
the
CRA,
Canada
yes.
Revenue Agency. Sure, everyone's familiar with that. That document that you get from the Canada Revenue Agency after you filed your income taxes, those ones that tell you that you have a refund,
Mhm.
those ones. So you want to put that together. At least 3 years of that would be essential to show your lawyer that. Also, your pay stub. So you want to
Oh, collate, yes.
collate your pay stubs. Usually, the lawyer would ask for the last 3 pay stubs. Would be best for you to organize those papers even beforehand. And if you have a last will and testament, put that in. And also, if you own certain real estate properties and certain portfolios such as RRSPs and other pension plans or other investment portfolio papers, you want to put that together so it's easier for the lawyer to gather and compute your family matter and making sure that everything is included in
Mhm.
either the separation or the divorce. So now, after you've gathered all your papers,
Dami pala, attorney, no?
then you have to be mentally prepared. I think
That's
that
the
is,
thing. Yes.
I think for
Yes.
definitely, I think is most important because it's your life you're talking about. This is not a business transaction. This is not just you're buying a car. This is literally something that would change your life, would change your spouse's life, and change potentially the lives of your children if there are
Mhm.
children involved. So you want to mentally prepared. You want to know the that you are really proceeding with that. It's a big change in
Decision
someone's
as well.
life,
Yeah.
correct? And mental preparation is something that you can start with on your own and at the same time involve your lawyer afterwards because
Correct.
that lawyer will steer you towards the right path, make sure that you don't, continuously combust and kind of get you in a place wherein it's going south.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
the mental preparation also involves your um, perhaps in our culture, the family members, all that. Not necessarily consulting family members, but to make sure that you take in consideration the people around, all that. So there's really nothing wrong with, in my opinion, a separation. These are part of things like things fall apart, things can go sideways, and what matters is how you get out of that, how you get out of that with grace
Mm.
and back to your spouse.
Correct.
But when the mental preparation is now kind of locked in, then you want to phone in with the lawyer. And so usually the lawyers would then ask you to um, uh, just to say what are the issues involved.
Mhm.
So this is when the lawyer would ask you, okay, let's start with ano ba ang napagkasunduan nyo na?
Mm.
And then, ano ba yung hindi nyo pa napagkasunduan? So, sa, sa una, the lawyer, sometimes I would even get clients who would say, hindi pa nga niya alam na maghihiwalay na kami.
Yan yung
So,
common
yeah.
na situation,
Yes, exactly. So, it's a case to case basis. Yung iba naman alam na nilang kabilang party na maghihiwalay na and then they kind of sort of decided, okay, that's it. So we're doing this. We're going both separate ways. And so some people already decided, okay, hiwalay tayo, paghatiin na yung bahay, yung kotse mo sa'yo, yung kotse ko
sa
sa
akin.
akin, things like that. And then, but then sometimes they don't know how to deal with the kids, for
Correct.
example.
Yan yung ano dyan, bottom line eh. The kids.
Exactly. So, dun na papasok yung advice ng lawyers. What are your rights and obligations? And the proper way to do it is definitely to hire a lawyer. That's in obviously my professional opinion. Just as much as you don't want to pull your own teeth, if not masakit yung
Masakit.
ngipin mo, then you don't want to do your own separation, your own divorce. So you want to leave it to the professional who's
Correct.
trained and expert in doing that to better help you. Because obviously lawyers who are practicing family law, they know the forms to file,
Mhm.
the deadlines for those things, especially if it's a court matter and filing, and also the rights and obligations that are involved
Mhm.
for the parties and the children, the
Mhm.
parenting. So those are, I think, kind of like a gist of how to prepare before even calling the lawyer's office.
Yun
It's a
yung
lot of things, and it's daunting. It's a lot heavier than we can imagine, especially the dynamic of the family.
Correct,
And
yes.
it's really something that can be very challenging. But with the right professional, then you can certainly be in the right frame of thought.
Especially sa culture natin, attorney, family, nabanggit mo kanina yung family dynamics, family yung very tight ang family ties natin
Correct.
dito sa Winnipeg,
Family
especially.
oriented.
Correct, tama kayo po kayo dyan. Legal separation po, marami ba bang ibang klase? Different types of legal separation? Or isa lang talaga?
Yeah, it's just one thing. You're separated. It's just that you're short of getting divorced, right? So you can, if you're physically separated, then you want to file, you want to put together a separation agreement so that the yung rights and obligations of the parties will be laid out.
Mhm.
So if you're not ready to file, if you're not quite ready to file a divorce yet, if the parties are married, if not quite ready to file anything in court, and or you want to settle between the parties, then you want to put together a separation agreement. Separation kasi is the actual state of being separated.
Physically and...
Physically, yes.
Mhm.
So even the CRA would ask you that, like, are you separated? And then you would lay out exactly when are you separated. So the actual physical act of being separated is the separation.
Mhm.
It's just that the separation agreement, it's the agreement wherein the parties agreed to a number of things, and then yun yung magiging law between the parties na
Susundin to
susundin
follow.
mo. Yeah. So it can easily be a lot of different issues. So it would lay out, okay, kailan kayo nag-separate? So mula nung araw na to, babayaran mo to, babayaran ko. Okay, mula lang araw na to, then we will now put the house on. Then when we put the house on sale, we will get a realtor for that sale. Not your realtor, not my realtor, a neutral realtor. Things like, even the most intricate details can be in the separation agreement so that the parties wouldn't be up in arms and it's like, oh, hindi naman tama yan. Then you go to court.
Correct.
So you want to gather everything that you can pretty much agree on and put them all in your, get it over with. And so that would lead you to a better separation. And so separation agreement can literally be 20 to 50 pages depending on how intricate and how complex your family matter is. So nasimulan natin na the separation agreement can contain separation date, the parties stop cohabiting. It can also enumerate the kids that are minor kids, which are called children of the marriage, and also the parenting time that is involved. Okay, so Monday to Friday sa'yo, Saturday to Sunday sa akin, and then the following week, and then the following week sa'yo, 1 week to you, 1 week to me, things like that. How are we gonna do the drop off and drop? Like
school.
the school,
Yes.
who's gonna pick the kids up from school? Who's gonna have the kids during Christmas Day? Are you gonna have the
Yes.
kids until 12 noon? And then do I get the kids after 12 noon? Am I having the kids during Mother's Day and you have the kids on Father's Day? How about your birthday and my birthday?
Yes.
Things like that. So it can be as specific as it can get. It can be as specific as, well, if you have a new girlfriend, then I should be knowing who your girlfriend is, and let's do a background check on your
Yung
girlfriend.
kasama yung sa
Absolutely.
Yung
You
content,
can,
yung
certainly.
content ng separation agreement, yung basic lang, ano yung content niya?
Well, that is, I mean, whenever
Yeah.
I do a separation agreement, as much as possible, I would pretty much see to it that all the nooks and crannies are in there already, so that there's no room for a fight or a disagreement. Because you wanna foreshadow, oh, siyempre, maghihiwalay kayo, then if you eventually move on and I move on, then let's put that in the agreement. And it's a
Same
part of
proper, yeah.
life, you know? So you don't want to have it silent. If the parties are not agreeing on something, then that's a different thing, right? So, like I said, yung sa meeting sa lawyers, tatanungin ng lawyer, what are the things that are agreed upon? And if you say to me that, well, okay, all the property issues are agreed upon, we can have a separation agreement that only those things that have been agreed upon are written in there. And those that are not yet agreed upon, we will put it there that, well, the other issues in regards to the children and the parenting time are not quite there in the agreement, and we will put that in a different spousal agreement. Pwede yun.
Pwede yun,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. You can have an interim agreement, and then those ones that are not quite agreed upon yet will be tackled in a final agreement or a supplement. So the operative term is agreement. So the parties have to agree on something. They can't be butting their heads and you're fighting and all that. And that's one of the challenges of the lawyer. So I think, in my opinion, one of the challenges and I suppose the duties and obligation as a person of a lawyer is not just to get the retainer or bayaran mo na ako and then whatnot and whatever have you. I think it's a more social responsibility of the lawyer to pretty much gear the clients towards a more cooperative state of mind, so that they are not tearing each other apart. And you know, if a client is to come to me and say, kailangan ko makuha lahat ng tools niya. Okay, what are the tools that you're trying to get? Yung tools niya sa shed, kailangan kong makuha lahat yon. What do you need it for? I don't know. I just want to get it. Because, you know, I'm mad at him. I'm so mad at him. I want to get all his tools so he can't work. Well, that's not quite right.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're not going to say that to the client that, well, that's not right. You're going to lead that person to say, like, why don't we concentrate on the things that matter, such as the things that can be agreed upon, and then let's not concentrate on that. You know, lawyers are not tools for revenge, right? So you want to make sure that you steer them towards the right path so that they can be less costly and more cooperative, and then come out of that with grace. So if you keep on fighting anyway, you're just keep on paying legal fees too.
Exactly.
No one likes to pay lots of legal fees. No one wants to do that. So you want to get out of that as soon as you can, as fast as you can, done right away.
So kanina nabanggit mo yung tools, so assets siya. Utang.
Yeah.
Paano naman ang ano yan?
So that's a very, very good thing that is also tackled in a separation agreement. So the debts, obviously if you have a real estate property that you own, the home, marital home, and even cabins or rental properties that have mortgages in it, then that's part of the separation agreement. How do you deal with that? Are you buying me out? Are we selling that to another third party?
Third party. Yes.
Or am I buying you out? Or if, say, for example, you already have a partner, am I being bought out by you and your new partner? It can be that too. And then are you getting a new mortgage? So, you know, for example, the husband and wife has an old mortgage with, say, a certain bank, and then you, on the other hand, has a different partner, and then would like to remortgage the property, and then that will be part of the agreement. So sometimes realtors and real estate lawyers are also kind of involved in the mix, because if the presence of real estate properties, so obviously my firm also do all those things. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop in our firm like that. So we deal with all those intricacies of, you know, it's a whole life.
Yeah.
And then, so you also have to deal with credit card debt, lines of credit, and the like. So those are the things that will be put together in a computation. There's certain ways of putting that together, and then how to deal with that. It's still like you said, the operative term is the agreement between the parties.
Right.
So if the parties agree to say, well, you know what, the credit card that you have is just yours because you've pretty much used that for your shopping, and I've used this much for my shopping. So you pay your own debts, I pay my own debts. that's fine. But sometimes it obviously for married
joint,
couple, there's
yes.
lots of commingling
Mhm,
of all these
mhm.
debts. Then you want to put together something that the parties can live with. Ano ba ang tingin mong um, mag-agree yung kabilang yung asawa mo na malalagay natin sa agreement? You can't say, well, you know what, I'm so mad at my husband and he did not do right by me and siya dapat lahat magbayad ng utang. It doesn't work quite
Correct.
like that. You want to make sure that you want to be fair and resolve it right away. Otherwise, if you cannot agree on these things, and guess what? You're gonna go to court
Mas
and
magastos.
deal with it there.
Mhm.
Correct? So you don't want to get to the same result only to pay 10 times what you would have paid just to get in the same end result.
Exactly.
Right?
Yung utang, what's next pa?
So
Yung benefits, pensions, yan.
Yes.
Benefits.
So exactly. So some people have private pensions,
Mhm.
and those private pensions would have the separation agreement would have something to the effect of releasing the pension from one party and or sharing the pension to another party. So it can say that your pension is yours, pinagtrabahuhan mo yan, my pension is mine.
Mhm.
It can say that, or you can say like, you know what, you have been a good husband from the time, and then it's just that we're doing this now, but so fine, we'll share the pension. It can easily be like that.
Wow.
Other
Ganun,
clients nga eh,
Mhm.
sometimes they're very graceful in the separation. When you do compute the child support for the child support table computation, if say for example the child support comes out to say $600, some husbands or wives would say, you know what, I don't want to give my wife only $600. I know how our times are hard. I want to give her more.
Wow.
Oh yes, absolutely. Because child support computation is just the minimum amount you want to give.
Mhm.
That's just the minimum amount. You can obviously give more.
Okay, since we're talking about child support and spousal support.
Correct.
Doon muna tayo sa spousal.
Sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is it an obligation? Is it a right? Pagbigay ka ng spousal
There are rights
support?
and responsibilities involving spousal support and child support. So it's dependent on the it's a case to case basis. So spousal support is something that it is indeed something that you can ask for and claim for, dependent on the situation of the party. Say for example, if you and I are married and I am a stay-at-home mom,
Mhm.
and we have say 10 kids, and you're out and about and working all the time and just making both ends meet, and meanwhile I can't quite work because I'm at home,
Mhm. Taking care of
taking care
kids.
of the kids so that you can work,
Mhm.
right? So then we're gonna separate, and then so all the house title are in your name because I can't quite be approved of mortgage.
Mhm.
I even can't be approved of some other loans, and so I don't have a lot of assets in my name.
Mhm.
But the separation agreement would be in play in such that I can ask you for spousal support because now that, say, for example, if you separate like at the age of 55, who's going to hire me now?
Mhm.
I've been taking care of our kids for 20 something years,
Mhm.
and I'm 55, and I can't quite, work anymore to support these 10 kids.
Mhm.
Um, what's going to happen to me now? So I can, at that instance, ask you for spousal support because I am sanay ako sa
Ganitong buhay.
ganitong buhay.
Yes.
So maghihingi ako sa'yo na para ma-maintain ko yung
Lifestyle.
nakasanayan ko. Yes, like that. So that's just one of tons of different permutations. It can be different permutations all the time. It depends on the financial situation of the parties and how dependent the other spouse is to another. And then in the separation agreement, it can easily be something that the parties waive the spousal support.
Paano yan? Yung
Yeah.
waiver. Yeah.
Waiver. So it will show there that neither of the parties would ask for spousal support to another, even if mawala ng trabaho yung isa, or say for example, nanalo ng loto at dugong bughaw pala, ay napakaraming pera, ganyan. So nothing like that in there would allow would be an obligation of the one party to pay the other party for spousal support. Or kunyari may nadisgrasya, hindi ka na maka-work and you can't even do your normal job anymore, you can't ask the other party anymore. Kasi wini-waive mo yun.
Wini-waive mo siya.
Yes. So a lot of different parties that are doing separation agreement, wini-waive nila yung spousal support unless there's a really big disparity on the financial situation. Lots of Filipinos that are asking for a separation agreement, they're pretty much waiving it because they're pretty much very industrious, we're industrious, the community, and wives are working, the husbands are working at the same time, not quite in a disparity financially. So a lot of people are just waiving that. So that's what it means to waive it. So hindi ka manghihingi no matter what, kahit mag-iba yung sitwasyon mo ng financially and the other way around. If it changes, ang ihip ng hangin, ikaw na pala yung milyonaryo and whatnot. So you can't really ask the other party for spousal support. So that is spousal support, something that can be waived in the separation.
Yung spousal support, mostly women. May mga
Not
may
quite.
mga men ba na
Lots, yeah. It's actually the same boat. Lots of like I said, it depends on the financial situation. Some women have more funds and are working more and have more assets, and then so it's the other way around. The husband now can ask like, well, paano na sanay akong ikaw ang nagbibigay sa akin. So but it doesn't, it's not a license to always ask for something, right? So it's more so something that is it is indeed a right, but when you go to court and eventually ask for spousal support, you have to really show the factors of why you're asking for that, and then the computation of the financial situation of the parties. So you have to show that there's quite a need for that. So what is more agreed upon and then more creates more heavy importance is the child support in the separation agreement. So that's when the child support table calculation is in play. So that's why yung kaninang preparation natin, you have to put together your income tax, your pay stub. Kasi pag hiningi ng lawyer yon, then he or she can calculate the Manitoba table of child support calculation out of those papers that you have prepared. So nakikita mo doon na parang permutation table siya, transmutation table siya. You put the income of the one party, the income of the other party, how many children, how long have you been married, and then it would spew out a child support calculation. And then it will either be payable to one party or the other way around. So that child support would be included in the separation agreement as well.
Pwede bang iwasan ng go back to spousal support? Pwedeng iwasan ba ng isang spouse magbigay ng spousal support?
If the parties agree, like I said,
but
yeah.
If not,
then you can go to court for that and ask for it. If you're sure, and then your lawyer is telling you, actually, you know what, you have some leg to stand on in regards to spousal support, then certainly that's something that you can fight for and put forward for in a petition to the court. Obviously, the child, if there's a child in play, the computation of spousal support and child support will vary if there's children involved. Because, say for example, nagbabayad ka na ng child support, then hindi ka na makakabayad potentially hindi ka na makabayad ng spousal support. So, yung computation of child support and spousal support will actually go hand in hand. You put that all together if you're both. Because it will come from the same kind of pocket, right?
Yes,
so you don't want the other party to not eat anymore because you've paid all these support payments, right? So
may instance ba, attorney, na nagkaroon ng separation agreement and they're still living on the same bahay? Considered separated ba sila? Or how do you categorize those situations?
Yes, there are transition stages, because obviously it's not a perfect world and you press the button and then the other person is out the door right away. So there are transition stages wherein it's part of life, right? So you have to get accommodation, kailangan mag-move ka, and then you have to move in a certain place that has some room for the children. You can't just do bachelor and you have 3 children in there, so you have to make sure that you're protected and also have new accommodation. So sometimes there are times wherein one party is not quite out the door yet.
Correct.
So yes, when I ask the parties what is the separation date that the parties have agreed upon, then they would say, okay, we've agreed upon to say September 1 is our separation date. While you're moving out, I'm gonna give you the basement and I'm here, and then let's transition that way, and then eventually we'll head out the different way. That certainly can happen. It's a part of life.
Naman, attorney, dito sa kultura ng Pilipino, ang hirap tanggapin ang separation. Mostly in denial sila just to save yung shame. Nag-usapan
Yes.
kanina. But down the road, of course, yung dito maapektuhan yung mga kids.
Yes. Yes. Kaya nga nabanggit ko kanina, one of the tenets and important things that are grilled upon in a lot of family law seminars or even the court justice system, they always keep on the best interest of the child.
Yeah.
Lagi yan. Even judges and even the judges in case conferences, they would always say, what is the best interest of the child? Because, yung mga adult, matanda na tayo, we can take care of, we can take care of ourselves and eventually we'll come out of that and we'll move on. But these things that the adults are doing can certainly have a huge lasting effect to little children who has no idea what is going on with their lives. And so you certainly, that's the reason why the court and the legal professionals are always drilling in what is the best interest of the child. So that's the reason why the separation agreement has a lot of provisions in regards to protection of the child, child support, parenting time, all these things that pretty much takes care of the children and also makes sure that they are given the time and protection and effort of the parents. Kasi maraming duties ng parents, not only that they want to get rid of the other spouse, but obviously they want to, first and foremost, even personally, that's my opinion, before anything else, that's protect their children. You might not like your spouse, but no matter what, you have to make nice, because that's the parent or the others, the daddy or the mommy of your child. So the best interest of the child is always protected. So a lot of the provisions in the agreement will tackle that. And even if you go to court, the judges or even say, for example, a case conference would always tackle that, the best interest of the child. And even if you're going to trial, again, it will always revolve. I mean, that's the priority.
Yes, of kids.
Yeah.
I think you have to attend a seminar ata before you go to a certain process.
Exactly. So that's the reason why that seminar is in place, because the parents, the court justice system is trying to gear you towards that frame of mind to think like, well, I know you're mad. I know this is an awful time, things that happen between the spouses, but let's just step back, let's think about your children first.
Correct. Back to the basic again. Kailan mo ipupull ang trigger, hiwalay na tayo?
Well, that is a very hard question to answer. I wouldn't know really in regards to culture to culture. It really depends. I can only answer that in regards to how I've seen the behavior of the people that I've talked to in terms of my clients. It can vary when, on how, and when do you pull the trigger. Depends on their value system. Depends on how they see their rights and some people sometimes they would consult a lawyer and ask for their rights and obligations as a husband and a wife, or a spouse, or a common law spouse, that is. and then come out of my office and they would be going to counseling.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. I have tons of clients who would come to me and I would just tell them exactly these are your rights, these are the obligations, these are the options, these are the things that can happen, these are the things that will not happen to you, after they've given me their story.
Mm.
And then um, you know, they will take those information and then move on. And then afterwards they would say, you know what, maybe we should go to counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can give it a try still.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you're still going to be coordinating and having a sort of a relationship with that spouse if you have children.
Mm-hmm.
If you can salvage the relationship as still a married couple, then it depends on them at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
Mhm.
So, you're telling us if before pupunta talaga sa court or sa attorney,
Mhm.
they can talk it by themselves. Do they require a mediator as well too?
Yes, so it's a good thing that you brought that up. So, like I said, I've been drilling the fact that you certainly want to go to the methods and processes that does not involve to going to trial. That's the last resort. If all else fails and you're really butting heads and you can't really agree upon a lot of things, you want to make sure that you've exhausted all your out of court methods before going there. So you want to, number one, go to either a mediator.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that you mentioned. Wherein you can, ganun din tatanungin nila ano pa yung napag-agreehan nyo
Agree
na.
ninyo.
Sulat na natin, pirmahan na natin bago kayo ma-impluwensyahan ng ibang kapamilya nyo. Or sometimes, you know, when you listen to people who are angry, then their advice will always be an angry advice. When
Exactly.
you listen to people who are more calm, then the advice are more calm. So it depends on the people around you, however you see the world, right? So I
Mhm.
mean, at least in my opinion, personal opinion. So the mediator would whip up a document. It's in a mediation, an agreement. Then it will lay out those things that you've already sealed. Tapos na natin to, let's move on. Yes.
Yes.
So, and then sometimes when things are not quite agreed upon, then you can move on to getting a lawyer.
Mhm.
So, the mediation, you can do a collaborative law. That's when you get a lawyer on your side, and then the other side will also get a lawyer, and you pretty much do a meeting together, and you kind of put together a separation agreement. Even before trial, you can go to a case conference, and then perhaps get everything settled there for really filing things in court. So a lot of different ways of dealing with issues before you get into the end
Yeah.
and go and in the battle. Yeah.
Okay, attorney. It's 6:36 na. Ang bilis ng oras. So, halfway through na tayo. So, we're taking in phone-in questions. May mga nag-text na kanina. So, marami na tayo siguro questions. Babasahin na lang po natin. Thank you dun sa magic hands. Attorney, ask ko lang, hindi po kami kasal ng partner ko, pero may 2 kids kami. Hindi po siya nagsusupport nila sa akin. Ano po ang legal way step na dapat gawin ko para ma-support niya? Basically, hindi siya nagsusupport, hindi siya nagbibigay ng...
I wonder if they're together. So,
O separate sila.
I'm assuming they're separated.
They're separated,
Okay,
yes. Hindi siya
so-
nagbibigay ng support.
Mhm. So like you've said in the
Mentioned.
beginning of the program, this is certainly not a specific advice to a specific person. This is just general um, uh, concepts that I can throw in there. There's
Mhm.
not in any way a client-lawyer relationship.
Yeah.
And certainly this is just a broad take on things. So obviously the best way to attack this issue is to definitely call your legal professional, call the lawyer, a family lawyer. But if I have to give a general idea of this, so if a certain common law spouse which is has the same rights as a married couple. It's just
Yan,
pretty much has
nakalimutan na discuss yan.
yes. So a common law spouse is spouses that are not married but have been living together for more than a year if they have children, or have living together for 3 years if they don't have children.
Mhm.
So even if they haven't registered themselves as common law partners at the Vital Statistics Office, then they're considered common law spouses, and they have the same rights and responsibilities in the legislation of the family laws in Canada.
Mhm.
So on that note, if certain couples have separated, they have been common law spouses or married couples, that
Mhm.
is, it doesn't matter. And then the other party is not quite paying enough child support. The the methods that I've used is
Mhm.
mediation,
Mediation.
going to a
Mhm.
lawyer, asking for a separation agreement are the normal ways to do that. So I mean, not the normal ways, but the
The
advisable
process,
ways
yeah.
to
Mhm.
to get to that goal wherein the other party is paying child support. And a spouse, even if you go to court, even if you go to trial, all judges would always tell you you have to pay child. There's no way around it.
Mhm.
So you might as well pay it, right? So there's no way around it. Even if you shorten the process na nag-agree kayo, you're paying that child support. Kesa mag-away kayo, at the end of it all, magbabayad
Magbabayad ka pa
pareho pa
rin.
rin yung child support. And then kung kailan nagsimula yung child support, it's still the same.
Yes.
Hindi siya yung, well, patatagalin ko muna.
Walang delay dyan eh.
I mean, if pinatagal mo siya, then you're gonna pay retroactive
Correct.
support.
Yeah.
So, maiipon yung support mo. It's still gonna be the same outcome
Mhm.
anyway. So, it's essential because yung child support is for the children. This is
Mhm.
not so that the other party can go to the casino and use that money for
Mhm.
other things. It's
Mhm.
child support for the children. The
Mhm.
children, obviously, as you and I both know, they cost a lot of money,
Exactly.
like to eat,
Miscellaneous.
shelter,
Yes.
everything, right? So, yun yung para dun yung child support.
Mhm.
And that is not even including Section 7 expenses, yung mga extracurricular expenses which involves um,
Sports,
tuition
yeah.
fees, sports, daycare expenses,
Mhm.
and all the like. That's over and above child support.
Child support.
So, walang kawala talaga. Kailangan talagang magbabayad ng
Magbabayad
child
talaga.
support. So, and then if you don't pay child support and there's an order for you to pay child support, then a lot of bad things can happen to someone who doesn't pay child support.
Like what? Yeah.
Your bank account can be frozen by the court eventually. Your license can be suspended eventually. Things are not going to be looking good if someone doesn't pay child support.
Sabi.
Kasi, di ba, remember, the priority is the best interest of
For
the
the
children.
kids, yes.
If you don't do that, then you're in big trouble.
Big trouble. Yeah. Thank you po dun sa question. Another question, attorney. 2 questions. Pag legally separated ba, attorney, pwede bang hindi gamitin yung last name ng asawa ko?
Well, that is a filing at the Vital Statistics Office. So you can file something at the Vital Statistics Office to go back to your maiden name.
Mhm.
Even if you're not separated, actually, you can actually do that. So
Pwede lang.
yes, absolutely. So I'm assuming that that person is a female.
Yes, it's a female,
person. I mean, not that I've seen men who have changed their last name to their female spouses. I've seen that happen. That we're in this day and age wherein everything is
Baliktad
equal,
na,
and then
yeah.
and I'm a feminist myself. So not I'm not generalizing that, but I'm assuming that that's a lady that had asked that. So yes, even before separation, you go to the Vital Statistics Office. You can present your birth certificate, and you want to say, I want to go back the name my parents gave me.
Mhm.
So you can certainly do that.
Okay. Yung second question kanina is child support again na hindi nagbibigay. I think na answer ni attorney na po kanina yan. Okay. Attorney Rich, after ng separation, pwede na bang mag-asawa agad?
Very good question. Well, that is a lot of the people who are separating. That's pretty much why they're wanting to get a separation and a divorce. So I can qualify that answer to that. So lots of people who are married and then eventually had gotten a divorce, then there's a reglementary period of time wherein you have to wait some cooling off period. Your lawyer can discuss that in detail with you after that period is done, and certainly you can get married again. For common law spouses na hindi naman sila nagpakasal, and then you have put together a separation agreement, you certainly get married after that.
Okay. Last two questions before we wrap up. How long do you have to live apart to be separated?
How long do you have to live apart?
Bago considered separated.
I don't know, day one. Like, when you're out the door, you're separated. It's not not quite sure I grasped that question, but when you left the pag iniwan mo na yung asawa mo or iniwan ka, then that day is the date of separation.
Common Filipino question. 3 questions lang tayo dito, attorney. Can I get a divorce in Canada? Or, yes, even if I'm only a visitor?
Can I get a divorce in Canada even if I'm only a visitor? So that is a interesting question. So the Divorce Act is something that applies to residents of Canada for a period of 1 year. At least one of the parties have to be a resident for a year. So that should answer that.
Last question, then we go through. Will my divorce in Canada be recognized in the Philippines? Is it enforceable under Philippines? The 2 questions.
Well, that is a conflict of law issue. Obviously, there's a purpose for that question, right? So, with my divorce in Canada be recognized in the Philippines, why are you asking recognized in the Philippines? Are you getting married in the Philippines? That's the follow-up question that I would ask to do that, because lots of people who have immigrated here and have become a Canadian citizen here, if you're divorced here, then you're divorced, period, and then you can travel anywhere in the world as a person that is without that person that is not married to the other person, and you're married to a different person. So maybe I would ask a follow-up question on that is why do you want it to be recognized in the Philippines? Are you going back as a Filipino resident? Because see, the Divorce Act is jurisdiction is in Canada, so and then divorces are not part of Philippine family law. But if you're a Canadian citizen, then the family laws in Canada apply to you.
Sagot na rin ito kanina. Magkano naman ang legal fees para habulin ang spouse for child support?
Yeah, it's a case-to-case basis, like I said. It's a very just as much as I would usually I use an analogy all the time. It's almost like if you call a dentist and you say, sakit po ng ipin ko, masakit po yung molar ko, and then how much po? It's kind of hard for the person to say, well, you know what, that is $500 for that molar. It's kind of hard to say because you don't know if you have to have a surgery for that, if you have to pull 10 teeth out as opposed to 1. It's quite difficult to assess a certain intricacy and gravity of a situation of a person without actually looking into the deep level of that family situation. I would use this as an analogy. It's pretty hard. What I would say, though, is a lot of law firms in Winnipeg, not just Filipino law firms, like the Punzalan law, they would normally ask for a retainer. And a retainer is a deposit that you provide to a lawyer so that they can put that in the trust account, and the legal bill of the lawyer would be applied against that. So usually the retainer that is asked for a family matter would vary, say, from $2,000 to $3,000, depending on the gravity of the matter. But you want to make sure that you prepare for that. It can be very costly kung maraming pinag-aawayan. If you go there, oh yeah, I don't like him, she doesn't like me, but we're separating. Can we just get it done? And obviously it's easier said than done. But that I've seen that happen. They come to my office and they said, yeah, I don't like him, he doesn't like me, but we want to get it done. And And it can be short and sweet and less costly.
Yun ang magandang
Yes.
kliyente.
Mhm.
Nabanggit nyo kanina yung legal fees and everything. May mga iba tayong alternatives ba, attorney, na
Yes.
sa mga can't afford na families na gustong humiwalay, no?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So yes, I mentioned to you before the show that I would like to show to the viewers that there are alternative ways of dealing with a family matter that doesn't involve for you to pay legal fees if you can't quite afford a lawyer. First and foremost, you have to really say to yourself that you have to have a lawyer. You can't just wing it and say, and then your neighbor said, "Oh, ang dali lang yan, kayang-kaya kong gawin yan." You just do it yourself. I think that's the wrong advice. Don't believe that. You have to have a lawyer. If you can't afford a lawyer, there is this legal aid, and legal aid is there's a financial requirement for them to get your case, your matter. So they will ask for your financial matters again and your notices of assessment, your pay stubs, and then they'll see if you can not afford a lawyer. And there's also I have it in here. There's also another alternative route, which is the law phone-in and lawyer referral program. And this is funded by the Law Society of Manitoba and the Manitoba Law Foundation. And this referral program has 2 lawyers on staff, and they will provide general information and advice over the phone in response to callers' inquiries. And in appropriate situation, they will refer a lawyer to you. And there's also the Legal Help Center, and that provides information to that is providing help to families with lesser household income, and usually they are staffed by law students and supervised by lawyers.
Yes, by lawyers,
So
of course.
they kind of want to give back to the community and help out, especially for those people who can't afford the full-blown lawyer.
Before we wrap up, attorney, any final words sa ating mga viewers po dito in regards po sa file ng legal separation or yung next process? Ano ba? Decided ba kayo magpa-file talaga na, maghihiwalay? Yung mga parting advice natin as a
I think I would leave
Filipino.
the viewers the advice of always make sure that every move that you make is something that will affect not just yourself but also the other parties around you, yung mga anak ninyo and yung mga pamilya ninyo. It could always affect them, so you want to make sure that you do it with grace and with a lot of research and with the help of a legal professional, a family lawyer that's practicing family law, and that's their expertise. You want to make sure that you hire the proper person to lead the way of a proper fashion so that it's easier and less costly for you.
Well said po. So again, Punzalan Law Office, how po nila kayo makakontak? You have a website and email.
Yes.
How can they reach an attorney, Rachelle Punzalan?
Thank you. So my law firm is called Punzalan Law, and we're downtown at 10 4th Street, second floor. And not only am I the only lawyer there, there's attorney AZ Guerrero there. She's also
Yes,
Filipino, and she's a super smart lawyer. She also deals with a lot of family matters in the firm. And the phone number is 204-594-5181. We also have assistants. There are Filipinos there for those people who are not comfortable in speaking in English. So I have an assistant who is Filipino there. And there's a website that you can go to for online booking. It's at www.punzalanlaw.ca, and there's a portion there that's for online booking, and you can click on domestic matters or family law, and you can book your appointment there.
Well said. Nakuha niyo po yung information natin ni Rachel, no? So, again, what's your phone number? 204?
204-594-5181.
Okay, before we wrap up, we would like to thank our partners, AIM World Canada, 204 Neighborhood Watch, Casares Law Office, Punzalan Law Office, Angelica's Food House, Kuya's Foods, 204 Healthcare and Staffing Services, Gateway Financial by Denny Nangan, John Yu, of course, thank you so much, and Aldous Guzman of Chapelon Memorial Garden. Again, this is Aldous Guzman, your host at 899 Action Center. Problema mo, may sagot kami. Attorney, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.